Hello and welcome back to another episode of Journey to Purpose. With me this week, I have two fascinating people, Danny Yepez and Sarah Lynn Thomas, who are co-CEOs of Behold Retreats. I just realized I might have butchered your last name, Danny, but welcome. Thank you for being here.
The last name was perfect. Thank you so much for having us on the show.
Yeah,
We're excited to be here.
looking for.
Perfect. Thank you. First really in question is, where in the world are you currently?
Yeah, we happen to be currently in Venezuela. Venezuela is a country that has been put away and tucked away for most of the world for quite about maybe 2 years of time. And we are happy and pleased to be, as probably many other Venezuelans. I was born in Venezuela, but raised in Florida. And we've been in Costa Rica for about 24 years. So it's really been exciting to be back as well, to see the rebirth of the country come back all together again, and it's exciting for us.
I bet it
Yeah,
is.
from
and
my
it's a
perspective,
wonderful-
it's been
Go
really
on.
incredible to come to this country and see how vibrant the people are. And they're on like the cusp of a huge shift, and you can feel it in the air, the change that's about to happen. And it's so wonderful to be here and get to witness that.
That is exciting. I know, so funny enough, I studied Russian 20 odd years ago, but I was in Kiev at the time of the Orange Revolution, which is the first time that they'd elected a pro-Western government. And I know the energy of the country at that time, the enthusiasm, the positivity, everyone, it's almost like you're walking down the street high-fiving everyone just felt so good about life. And so it is exciting to be in these places when hopefully there's a positive turn for everybody. So I hope you enjoy your time.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, more than enjoying our time, we're also looking and dreaming at the possibility of opening up Venezuela as a additional country out of countries that we operate with. We're hoping to have Venezuela potentially be on that list one day.
Yeah, exciting. Fingers crossed for that. But let's get into, first of all, who are you and why you do this? So you've both come from quite different worlds to the retreat world. I think, Danny, you're in renewable energy and Shell Oil, and Sarah, I think you had a bit of finance. And so what were you both looking for when you first encountered sort of plant medicine and the idea of these retreats? What brought you to it?
Yeah, I certainly wasn't looking for anything that I'm doing today when I started into the. I assure you that. As a matter of fact, the question resonates quite deep. Say, oh well, who are you, and how do you do? So let's even start with that question, right? So there's the two versions of myself, and I'm pleased to say that I'm this version of myself that I've been on this plant medicine path for the course of 16 years almost. And it's been a fascinating journey. And it's a journey that started with me when I came from I went to military school when I was a kid. So I come with a formation of military school, anti-drugs, anti-pills, kind of like little square box mentality. And, you stay in that box kind of thing. And so it was a life that turned for me when I discovered depression for the first time. This came about from a separation from a 20-year marriage, and no empathy for people with depression at the time. I had no understanding of depression. It's like, that's just something in your head. It's a click in the head. Come on, you can stop doing that. Until it came knocking on my door. And of course, once I recognized the symptoms of depression, I was able to battle those throughout. And once I came out of that depressive state, I had a friend who was on the plant medicine path already. And, I wanted to kind of step into this new life of where I was transitioning at the moment with a more open-minded, no more of that little box kind of mentality. And so I took his advice. He goes, Danny, you are a controlling type of individual. You like to be in control of yourself and things, and you're going to need 2 nights of this thing called ayahuasca. What? Really? Okay. Well, let's go. And went through this process of signing up for 1 night of ayahuasca. Didn't get to really experience anything on that first night. And like the whole entire night just went through and didn't feel anything in the morning. And the next day, everyone that was in that journey was just elated and glowing and just excited about their life and what they had just encountered. In my case, I hadn't felt anything at all. I could have flown a helicopter.
Oh, dang.
So I remember what my friend said. He said, you needed 2 nights of this thing. So a couple of months went by, and the opportunity signed up again and went for the 2 nights. The first night didn't feel anything at all again. And now I'm excited. It's the second night. Oh, here it comes. And went through the whole entire second night. Didn't feel anything again in the second
wow.
night. Yeah. But now I'm at the breakfast table where everyone is also again glowing and elated and just boasting about their night. And my ego at that moment can no longer control this medicine that kept rising and rising and rising while I'm at that breakfast table. Sensory overload kicked in, everyone talking at the same time. It was too much. So I quietly got up and went into my room. And as soon as I laid in my bed on my cabin, my ceremony began. And of course, that was the most unequivocal, powerful transition journey that I felt. There was absolutely no doubt of the power of ayahuasca and the medicine and what it can provide and show and tell you. And there became a road of curiosity. It began with I was so completely immersed with the aspect of wanting to learn and know because it's so vast and so great. There's so many ramifications that comes around ayahuasca. People can only think that ayahuasca is just this one thing, but really it's just incredible. So I started with a 1-year sabbatical that ended up becoming a 10-year sabbatical in my life. That's how deep I went into this thing. And
I'm kind of jealous at this point.
10 years dedicated of just searching and learning and researching and understanding all sorts of different plant medicines. And ultimately, I ended up in a point in my life where I could no longer be a witness of, just a bystander of seeing the world as it's shaping and not doing something about it, like not being of service and doing something about it. So the birth of that came from really taking actions and saying, okay, it's time for me to do my part and how can I give back? And so there began the life of stepping into the journeys, which has led into the retreats that we do and operating in these Portugal, Mexico, and Costa Rica.
And for me, it's kind of the opposite. I did not have a military background. In fact, mine, kind of mid-teen, I heard about this magical little thing that if I ate, the world turned into a rainbow. I said, that sounds amazing. Where do I get some? And from there, mine was mostly consciously curiosity and exploration and interest. And then when I graduated college, I went right into a corporate environment and just did that. And I did a lot of networking. And if anyone does a lot of networking in sales, networking also means drinks. And so that was the path that I was on, was work 70 hours a week, get to know people, entertain them, then do the office thing, wake up a little foggy, get yourself set again over and over and over. And then these plant medicines came back into my life, maybe around late 20s, early 30s. And at the time, I would have said they just came back into my life again out of curiosity. Looking backwards, I now know that my soul or my spirit was like knocking on the door. Karma, whatever you believe in, was saying, Sarah, you're not on the right path. This is not who you are. This isn't the healthiest version of you. And so it took a little bit of time for me to say, okay, I need to make some shifts in my life. And I really, looking back again, I think my spirit was dragging me. I think it dragged me to Costa Rica. If you asked me at the time, I would say, I love adventure and I want to live in a Spanish-speaking country. But it really was the universe, the planet saying, let's make a shift. And so that's how I got into my own personal path with plant medicine. And then I also used to think that the purpose of life was happiness. And I was like, okay, I'm happy, done. And then as I grew in Costa Rica, I realized perhaps it's not just my own happiness. What about the happiness of the people around me? And that's when I moved more into service. And then even that grew a bit more to, okay, life is painful for everybody. Everybody has pains in life. Depending on what we do with it is whether that turns into suffering. So then it was more a path of peace. Can we help people have a more vibration of peace so that no matter what happens, pains and ups and downs, we have that peaceful feeling within us. And so that's what brought me here, why I'm here today.
Amazing. I think, and obviously we haven't directly addressed what your retreats do. Obviously, you alluded to the plant medicine. But I think before we kind of go into how your retreats work, the other question I've got for you is, these both started as very personal journeys. And then obviously you said, Sarah, about realizing you wanted to help other people. Was there a pivotal moment where you went, this is what I want to do in my life? Or did sort of the sort of the building the business creep up onto you as you went through this journey yourself?
There was a very specific moment. It's kind of a sweet, sentimental story. And so Danny and I had done a couple retreats in northern Costa Rica, and then we had our first one in the Central Pacific, a place that we had just moved. And we were on the third night of a ceremony, is an all-nighter. And we went to go build a fire. And without even talking to each other, we looked at each other and just knew this is what we're going to do. Up until that, we had spent months preparing, finding the team, finding the traditional medicine space in which we were going to do it, all the way down to sourcing the ayahuasca cups, to making the beds, to all of the things. And the power of the transformation in that 1 week, and then the accumulation of it on that third ceremony during that moment by the fire with Danny, we both knew this is what we're doing. And we haven't stopped.
That's amazing. I love that. So can you walk me through what a retreat actually looks like from the moment someone arrives to when they leave? What are you sort of hoping for people to get from in these retreats of yours? And for those who don't know anything about you, what are the retreats?
I want to begin by saying I love the title of your podcast, right? Journey to Purpose, because it sounds like it's the title of our life in the sense of many people, right? But ultimately, when Sarah, as she mentioned, when we realized this is what we're here to do, right? We realized that there was an important aspect of where the conditions were readily available for everyone to really step into this. We recognized that we needed an environment that was suitable for people to find trust, that they can feel a warmth of a place, a location, and a group of humans that can embrace their experience, their vulnerability with us. That was the way we wanted, and provided us the comfort and safety that really gave that opportunity for people to really surrender. So I think that was really the key essence for us to discover. This is where we want to show up, and this is what we want to do. So I'll let Sarah kind of explain our designs and how we got to doing the different type of retreats we do.
Yeah, so as much as I would love to say all the work is done on the retreat, there is work before, and then the important work is the work after. So I'm going to start with, we always try to work with people on a 7-week journey, 3 weeks of coaching ahead of time. Now, most people are like me, and they don't think they need help until they need it. And so not everybody signs up for it, but that's what we would love for people to do, is 3 weeks ahead before retreat with preparation. We guide everyone whether they chose the whole program or not. And then 1 week on retreat, and I'll dive into a bit of retreat, and then 3 weeks with one-on-one coaching, and then lifetime of connection and community. On the retreats themselves, so people arrive, we pick them up from the airport, we bring them right to our retreat center, where that work that Danny started talking about, the trust, the set your nervous system. I know experientially through my own experiences, as well as hundreds of other people, that the more trust that we have, the deeper in the medicine that we can go. And so those are the things that we start working on. And there's all types of trust. There's trust in the environment, trust in us, trust in the medicine team. And so all of those that we start working on right when people arrive, preparation for ceremony. And then in retreat, we have 3 traditional ayahuasca ceremonies that all of our guests get to participate in. They are powerful, they are impactful. So after each ceremony, then we spend time, again, resetting nervous systems, processing the ceremony. Some things are like a lightning bolt, and you know exactly what the message was. And some things, the more you navigate through them, then it's like neurons growing, and all of a sudden they touch, and then you get it. And so we work on processing throughout the retreat as well. And then towards the end, we start working on integration. And so the difference between 5 years from now saying, oh yeah, I did ayahuasca once, that was really powerful. Or 5 years from now saying, I did ayahuasca once and it changed my life. And really, you change your life. Ayahuasca is an incredible tool, a very powerful tool from this planet. And the work that happens afterwards is what will make that difference. And so then our team starts working on integration with each guest.
Yeah. The several different designs that we have is working with the different medicines. Ayahuasca, of course, is the most, the more one that we really enjoy working the most with, based on the therapeutic value that comes through doing ayahuasca. So multiple nights of ceremonies. But we also work with psilocybin, for instance. And then in the psilocybin process, we work with several ceremonies as well that we do, and one of them being where we really go deep into the ceremony. We work with what's called ayahuasca. It's a combination of the ayahuasca vine itself as the MAO inhibitor that takes place. So we then provide the psilocybin, and that allows for really that deep journey that we're able to provide. We also work with different medicines that are traditionally that kind of surrounds around the areas of ayahuasca or these traditional plant medicines, and there can be which is the frog poison. That's a whole other story on that for us. And then we also work for more advanced people. We work with the 5-MeO DMT, but not the. We work with the bufo one, but there's one that's called yopo. And yopo is one that's very, it's funny enough, it's from my home country. So it's the one that I'm really deeply connected to. But yopo is the same 5-MeO DMT compound that you will find in the bufo from the bufo alfarius toad. But it's a more deeper journey as it's a plant-based journey. So it's yopo seeds, it's a snuff. And rather than maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes of a journey with bufo, with yopo, it's several hours worth of that.
Oh, wow.
So it is a really advanced, powerful, visionary medicine. So anyways, those are the different formats and models of designs that we work with.
It's exciting. So getting into a bit of the science, as you know, I love the science. There is a lot of research coming on around the use of the psychedelics and mental health and neuroplasticity. From your experience of running these retreats now for, I can't remember how many years, it's quite some time. What are you seeing that you think isn't in the research, or what are you seeing that isn't reported in research that you've kind of like seen that you think people should know about more?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know that we're able to access altered state of consciousness. Funny enough, one of the things that these medicines provide is accessing an altered state of consciousness. We have a interesting situation where we had the whole academic department of the University of Australia come to us. They lecture on consciousness. So they came
so
over.
Cool.
Yeah, to actually dive deep into the medicine because they wanted to experience the practice side of what consciousness it was all about. And it was fascinating to see and to have a very wide, multidisciplinary type of expert in humans in both, neurophysicists and scientists from all different walks of life. So to see them come and step into ceremony was grateful. We had a gentleman who was, I think
he had written 10 books on consciousness, but he had not done
Wow.
psychedelics. And so,
wow.
like I mentioned, on his retreat, we offered 3 ceremonies. He went to the first one, and the breakfast the next day, he said, I have 10 more books to write. And he spent the rest of the retreat writing.
Oh my God.
So just so much information that he was able to capture on that first one. So what I would say in response to what are the things that are potentially being missed out? Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll let you.
So I love the studies on psilocybin. I love the studies that they're doing, especially like near and in the clinical trials. I love all of the brain scans that they're doing, that they are showing here's like the normal state of consciousness, here's the elevated state of consciousness under psychedelics. And I hope that increases. I hope it increases because our Western minds need Western science to support that this is healthy for people. If you go to the jungle and say, the West has now validated the work you do, that wouldn't make sense to them. It's like if someone from the East came to the West and said, we validate your work. And so I hope that there is a respectful collaboration, especially as it starts going into medicines where, to me and to most of us, ceremony is critical. And so to do something like ayahuasca in a clinical setting, I'm very curious on how that would happen in a way in which still respects all the traditions. And I would love to see that the Western mindset doesn't feel like this isn't even Eastern medicine, it's Southern medicine. It's a whole different concept that I hope to see the respect that it is different and that Western doesn't validate other medicines, and that there is a beautiful piece in each type of medicines that can be brought together to really help people with their health. So for example, Western medicine is incredible at surgery. If you think about what is being accomplished now in Western medicine, it is incredible. Eastern medicine is holistic. It'll look at the whole body. The West has split it all up. And the East says we're going to look at the whole body and see how it works together and heal in that way. And in the South, it's saying we're going to heal from the core. We're not masking anything. We're bringing this up and we are healing forever, not reducing symptoms. It is sincere core healing, traumatic healing. And so I think that with a right type of respect and dialogue, people can come together and see this is the medicine for this. This is the medicine for that. And then I also hope we get to the point where we're also recognizing that we can heal ourselves. What I would call our North Star medicine. We have East, West, and South, that we can heal ourselves. So that is my dream and my goal with the sciences now catching up to some of the works that is being done in other areas.
I'm big myself into the science. I love just the aspect of really researching and going deep into understanding it. We have the privilege to run so many retreats, and so we get to really model out what works and what doesn't work. We know exactly what takes place within each retreat. And one of the things that I see, of course, anytime science is sometimes trying to step into something that is quite mysterious, as ayahuasca is, and these antigenic plant medicines, is the aspect of something that has been working on so greatly for lots of years. And, we're trying to perfect something that has already been perfected for thousands of years. But my always concern with when science comes in is sometimes, whether it's pharma, greed, the processing, and how can we commercialize something like this? And they take away the key magical components of what this thing is about. So there's a lot of things of trials and researches that are going on. Some can be quite fascinating, but others I question, right? So I'm still out on the field on, how much really science can do here, and really, can it really do the benefit that it does in the traditional aspect of what it's been doing for thousands of years.
I think one thing that will happen is it will open up for people that are closed-minded to something like this. Some people do need validation to say, okay, I'm okay to doing that. And I actually had to catch my own judgments. I read a title where it said, science has taken out the psychedelic effect of LSD. And I just thought, why? That's the greatest part. But then I read the article and I realized not everybody is mentally sound to take a strong dose of a psychoactive, but there are still healing benefits to, it's not the exact compound of LSD, obviously, but they changed the compound to it so that people can have those, the benefits, the neuroscientific benefits without going through the psychoactive part of it. And so I also had to open up a bit on what's taking place in sciences.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think particularly in the field of neuroscience from a Western medicine point of view, we are making so many discoveries and it's been really powerful. But I see this pattern throughout history in that we are almost rediscovering what is already known by the ancient civilizations. So like you say, the civilizations from the South, the ones from the East, Western medicine is kind of going, hey, look at these new things. It's like, no, you've just put words around what already exists.
Exactly.
But I love the fact that you referenced the point, though, that sometimes we just need it, because that's where we've been taught. That's where we need that structure to kind of prove it. But yeah, I'm agreeing with. I find it fascinating. Like take mindfulness as an example. This is like a very old methodology which predates being called mindfulness, and you look at the ancient Greeks and all the rest of it. And you also look at the Chinese and the Tao and everything else. So we are, to a certain extent, relearning what is already known, just not written down in that way. And I think that's important to highlight when it's something like this, because people kind of go, oh, it's this new, exciting thing. I was like, well, actually, is it new? And to your point, perhaps it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. We think about this a lot because it's important to us that we consider sustainability, that we consider remaining traditional in the ceremony space, that we're walking the right steps as this path grows. And I think we're very fortunate that there's leaders out there that people respect now trying ayahuasca, and they're going, okay, if this person did it, then they're just opening up a little bit. People that you wouldn't think would take ayahuasca, here they are. And so that's the thing is that when I was younger, the main thing that I would tell people I liked about psychedelics is it will, at a minimum, get you to start asking questions. And I love that. People start going, maybe it doesn't make sense that XYZ, I can't grow my own food, that we can eat in the United States, but not over here. Just start asking questions at a minimum.
Yeah. I think what I like also with regard to science now, science is validating tremendously, but people sometimes wonder or question about it. And now when we talk about the quantum field, for instance, and we enter into that, people can really realize that, there is something to this, right? Especially when we talk to energies, for instance, like people don't know how to translate energies or how that is. So there's a lot of new concepts now that science is validating that kind of intermix a little bit with what happens in these altered state of consciousness that really give a lot more power, a lot more interest for people that want to maybe consider stepping into this level of work.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And trying to think of another question then. So uh, with I guess with the more mainstream becoming of this of the ayahuasca and psychedelic approach, there's always going to be an argument that actually it becomes quite exclusive again, and it's only available for those who have a certain amount of money to go on retreats like this. And I love the fact that you talk about the end-to-end process is really important. But how do you see this emerging, or how do you like to see this emerging for the world? It shouldn't be a exclusive thing, and I guess in the southern world, it's not an exclusive thing. How do we make it accessible, but also, to your point, environmentally friendly and sustainable? And should it be accessible to everybody?
That's a good one, right? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are important when stepping into these type of medicines that are very profound in nature. So there's a lot of intricacies that take place before stepping into. And this is something we pride ourselves in working in the aspects of caretaking, right? And allowing to evaluate someone's readiness, right? Are they ready for the medicine? How do we help people? And we get a lot of requests for people coming to our retreats, but not everyone gets offered the invitation. And those that don't get offered the invitation, we offer the guidance and support to allow them for the readiness state to be able to then step into an invitation and come to our retreat. So there's a lot of aspects there that one needs to consider when looking into ayahuasca.
Yeah. And then there are incredible human beings hosting ceremonies, hosting retreats. And to me, the most important thing is safety, physical safety, and then mental, emotional safety, which is the medical evaluation and moving through those processes to make sure that you are physically, mentally, and emotionally fit to receive these medicines. And so what I would say is for anybody on any economic status looking for ceremonies or for plant medicine and different varieties is when they're looking for a place that's within their scale to go along the path of seeing how safe they are. If you get on the phone with somebody and they're like, oh yeah, just come on down, then they're not asking questions on your readiness. Right? And so one thing that is nice about the expansion of people hearing about this will also be the expansion of finding these places. And it's not that there are new places as well, but there's people that have also been doing this for decades that will have on different levels of experience, different levels of comfort, and different pricing. I think what I love about the work that we do is from the scale of within our community, knowing that not everybody can afford this. And so how do we make a space in which people can come? And then we also recognize, in fact, 9 years ago, I would have said anyone that's called to the medicine should have access to it. And for me, I was thinking about people that couldn't afford it. And so we created the space for that. And then I also recognized that everybody who's called to the medicine should have access to it. There's some people that, because of their background or their culture or what they're used to, wouldn't go to the jungle. They don't feel safe. And if you don't feel safe, you don't dive deep. And so that's something that we work with at Behold, is for the people that say, I know that I'm about to go through something physically, mentally, and emotionally powerful. I want to make sure that afterwards I can take care of myself, that I can go and take a warm shower, that I can have my own space where I can feel good, feel protected, feel safe, and then work with the team again so we can go to ceremony again. And so we always talk about there is no competition out there. Anybody that's doing good work, they're our allies. And if the world turns, we're all coming together. We're all coming together to turn it the other way. And so there's a lot of really beautiful people out there serving medicine.
And I would say also, let's be clear that, anybody searching for psychedelics will find psychedelics. So all it takes is a cow pasture to find psychedelics. So, it's really the level of comfort and where you're at, and you will find. We teach and educate a lot through our retreats. We through the whole week we go through a lot of education and mostly empowerment. We'd like people to feel empowered, to really understand this work, but also know that they can level up and be empowered enough to to do this in a ways that they can create their own set and setting and their own environment. Typically, they'll come to us and we feel like they've earned their stripes, and like, okay, there you go. You can then, look into navigating if you create the right environment for yourself. But we like to, I think, for us, and it's a big responsibility because we're bringing people that are brand new to the medicine, and so we take a lot of pride into, initiating these people through the process of tradition, which is, I think, it's important. We know that there's evolution. There's evolution in every field, and you can't prevent that. But to really step into knowing how traditionally it is done, and then from there you can then widen your search and horizon on that.
Wonderful. I do. I love history, and I think some traditions are good and some traditions are bad. But I think going back to sort of what you talk about, the ceremonies and that creation of space, and also the longevity of this approach that predates the modern obsession with it. I think for me personally, that tradition gives me the view of a continuity of a process that's obviously worked for as long as it's been around, and that would give me comfort. When we just talked about, who should and who shouldn't do it, what would you say to look out for, excluding, so not everyone might want to do the traditional approach, they might not want the ceremonies. You've already said about people should be asking you, like, what do you want to do? Not just come on down, give it a whiz. So what else do you think you should look for, and what do you think differentiates the chances of having a good experience versus a bad experience?
Yeah, I think when the first phone call that you have with an organization, you should feel like it is an interview back and forth. Our team will get to know you and you will get to know us, and it should feel like getting into something important on both sides. We are dedicated to making the world a better place, and that means we want to work with people that are committed to this. So somebody could go do a ceremony and blow their mind and then go back to the office and just talk about how they were rocked, but that isn't the work that we do. We want people that are committed to this, that will prepare for it, that will go through the retreat the best they can with the energy that they have, and then integrate the things afterwards. And so this is a kind of a cute story about integration. We brought in a medicine man, and on the last breakfast, I'm leading a discussion on integration. And I asked him if he has any tips for our group about integration. And he goes, "Oh, integration was just made up by Western people. It doesn't really exist." And so I go, "Okay. The community that you're in, you guys all come together how often?" He goes, "A couple times a month." I was like, "Okay, and then within your community, the people that sat in ceremony, they go back out to the community where many other people have sat in ceremony, right?" And he goes, "Yes." I was like, "Okay, so your community is kind of a medicine community, or at least they're very aware of it." He goes, "Yes." I go, "Okay, everyone here is about to get on a plane and go home where maybe somebody that they know has done ayahuasca, but maybe not." And then he goes, "Oh, yeah, you're right. I think they need integration." I'm like, "Wonderful. Do you have any tips for that?" I had a dear friend who goes to the jungle as part of her practice. And when she goes and asks for advice, they say, "Go follow the butterfly." And metaphorically, you can learn so much from nature. Sincerely, that might be all you need. But we have Western minds. And so we need more like concrete examples of, how do I integrate this into my life? How do I make life-changing decisions? And so I think that can be some of the difference as you're getting to know a place is, do they have this process where somebody that you can relate to can talk to you about these ceremonies and help you transition them back into your life?
Yeah. I'll also add to the aspect of the way we curate our retreats we curate them in a way that there's small group settings. So we do groups of small size in nature, and allows for that intimacy to take place. And we also make sure that we go through a curated selective processing of making sure we're selecting the right individuals that are coming in for that group. And I think that's essential because it'll and for some people, it can make or break your whole experience if you just don't have the right curated environment that you're going to be stepping into. So I think that's one big differentiator for us in our case.
I love that. Do you know what? My bachelor's degree was at an old university in the UK called Durham, and it sorts you by college, kind of like Harry Potter and the different houses. Everyone gets that reference, so they don't quite get the college thing. And so, but we had what's called a senior tutor, and she would be like, she curated us. She put us into groups for our freshers year, for our first year. And those people I'm still friends with 20 years later. But it's such a skill and a gift to do that curation of people and personalities, particularly when all you might have is a phone call and a paper application, right? Or back then it was literally all we had was a paper application. And I think people don't appreciate the importance of getting the right group, particularly in that setting, as you say. So I love that you do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a key component. And, one of the things that people don't realize, they get so much in that intimate setting because they make connections for life. This is something that is it's beautiful how encouraging it is for us to kind of witness humans connecting. And I think that's one thing that is we're missing is connection, human connection to nature, kind of sorts of connections that we missed. And in the human side of things, it's beautiful, and people really there's a beautiful aspect of that support system that becomes when people bond together in such a very unique and profound experience that's life changing for all of them. So it becomes a nice network of family, I would like to say. And so we've garnished, I guess we're stepping into almost 2,000 alumni that have come through our doorways over the years.
Oh, wow.
And it's a beautiful growing family that takes place. So it's that's really nice for us.
That's exciting. And with the family growth, one is your mission statement. I think it's human advancement, isn't it? That's part of your mission. Is that right?
I'd say it is. It's more
Yeah.
than the human advancement. It's life advancement for sure. And our
That's it.
mission evolves as it continues to grow. And the world is changing so rapidly. And I think for us, it's we want to stay within that change and making sure that we're being of service based on the needs that are there.
Danny always says there's 3 things you can get from sitting in ceremony. It's awareness, awareness, awareness. And I think that is like being conscious comes in layers. All of a sudden, we are now aware of something that we weren't aware of before. And that could be a specific pattern that we had based on an event in our childhood or teenagehood or any type that we weren't particularly aware of. And it will also show you, and here's why, and here's a path that can help you correct, right? And so it is an advancement of our internal world. How do we speak to ourselves? And then how do we speak to others? How do we maneuver in this universe, in this planet? And how do we advance in the way of awareness and consciousness?
No, I just want one note I wanted
You
to
go.
bring in is when there's an area of these medicines where these entheogenic plant medicines, they activate an area of the brain that has been dormant for the majority of your life. They've been, and now you have this area of the brain after ceremonies that remains active and remains active for a period of time. That gives what Sarah says, the level of awareness that wasn't there before. You're able to perceive that, and your perception level widens into a wider angle view. Your sensors are now hyperactive, and more than just the 5 senses we're taught. Right? So we become more in tune. And what we like to say that people that come through our doorway, it's like an instrument where there's the fine tuning that takes place and everyone's attuned perfectly by the time they leave. And we see that and we witness it very clearly when people come in this their fast-paced life and the cells are vibrating at a very fast level. And by the time they leave, it's just soft and calm. And you could see that on the facial expressions where people are just, you could see the complete change in their facial expression. The micro muscles are now relaxed and now you're just in a different facial look that you weren't seeing before. So it's people get those responses when they leave our retreats and they go into the world again. And people are saying, wow, you look different. Your aura is different. You sense different. There's something different about you. So there's a lot of beautiful things that take place when these retreats happen, including the aspects of just cleansing, detoxing, purging, and people come to us and say, "Wow, Danny, Sarah, I mean, I got a lot more than what I thought. I never, I feel great. I'm looking good. So there's many additional benefits than the mental health that maybe everyone's leaning into."
I love that. And I think maybe for one of my last questions, really, what have you learnt about transformation from this process, both from yourself, your own experiences and people you see coming through, that you think is such a unique part of the psychedelic process? Is there something that you've seen time and time again that goes, I've only seen this in this environment, in these ceremonies?
My favorite thing about somebody that has had a strong event in their life that has shaped who they are today, and they have been stuck with that event and the effects of that event, or even if that event was a year or 10 years or one event, whatever it has shaped who they are. Some people are attached to it. We are attached to ourselves, right? The beautiful thing about ayahuasca and these ceremonies that we hold is they get a new perspective of themselves, that it allows for them to let go of that identity, say goodbye to it, appreciate it if they want to appreciate it, and say goodbye forever. But they get a perspective that they didn't have in ruminating for a year or 10 years or 20 years. They never got a shift to forgive, to return back to being a loving human being that has maybe boundaries, but are not walls, right? Like not walls holding people back, but a really beautiful opportunity to shift into an identity that is more caring, more loving, more energetic. And so that is one of my favorite things that I see every single retreat. Every single retreat, there's human beings that are shifting into a different identity that is more vibrant and more loving.
I think that the transformations that we witness are amazing of sorts. And of course, the transformations can carry as long as your ability to make the changes that these entheogenic plant medicines provide, right? Level of awareness. Now that you know, make the changes necessary. Make that. We love to see humans like, I think I feel like we get these letters from either the husband or the wife that, that the partner has come to ayahuasca and they comes back home and it's almost like a thank you card. Oh my gosh. It's like,
May I come?
yeah, exactly. And so it's beautiful. It's aspect of the transformation is so real. It's really giving a second life opportunity. Just like for myself or even Sarah, we get an opportunity as a second life, and there's hope. There's now purpose, and the purpose is the big one, right? Like to have back your intuition again, reclaim your sovereignty, your intuitions, your powers that every decision you're making is very sound. It's very grounded and you know exactly what you're needing to do in life. And that's one of the biggest gains through these transformational work that we do.
I love that. I sprung one more question is do you think it's a good idea for couples to do it together, or does it depend on the situation maybe?
Yeah. So yes, and in an order. So I love sitting in ceremony with Danny. We've sat in many ceremonies. And so when a couple comes to us, most people are working on foundational. So we have, if you wanted to categorize two types, some people are working on healing and some people are working on expansion. A lot of people that are working on the healing side need some foundational work. And that is very difficult to do in the same space that you really care about somebody else, because we're going through challenges. And so if somebody that I love very much, I'm seeing them in challenge state, I come out of my own process, I come out of my own work, and a lot of my energy is going towards that human being and vice versa. And so we do recommend that couples come apart if they can. And some people can't. Some people are saying, this is when we have time off. This is when we're coming. And so even in ceremony, we won't let couples be near each other so that they can have that opportunity. Go within, go within. We are taking care of your partner. Go within. And then there's something very special and very beautiful to sit in ceremony with your partner. There's one of the fears that we get is, what if we don't love each other afterwards? And the opposite always happens. It's they love each other more. They see each other in that perspective that I was talking about, a new perspective. You see someone's original heart. You see their energy. You see their vibrance. And so we recommend separate at first and then come together if you can.
Yeah. And that bonding that we talked about with other humans, well, that bonding is quite special when it's with the partner you love.
Yeah.
And the ability for you to interact and exchange your experience with their experience, that's also very beautiful. So it's a mutual path of growth. And then you both get to correct simultaneously what are the changes to become that better version of yourself. So when that takes place in harmony, it's beautiful. It's very striking rather than one first and one second. But it's through that interview process and that discovery call that they do with us. We get to determine what is the best path for them, right? Sometimes it's the wife wanting to send the husband or the husband wanting to send the wife. And so it could be quite tricky on that regards, but then that's part of that discovery call.
Wonderful. If anyone wants to come to your retreats, they want to find out more about your work, they want to just ask you questions, how can they do that?
I think just do a search and you'll find us quickly. Behold Retreats. And you'll find us there. You'll see the opportunity to kind of maybe fill out a quick application just to get in and see.
Set a call.
Set a call, a discovery call for interview. And if all checks in right, then there will be opportunity for an invitation to come. And we operate, as we mentioned, in both Portugal, Costa Rica, and Mexico, and maybe one day in Venezuela as well.
Exciting. Annie, Sarah, thank you ever so much for your time. It's been really fascinating, and I look forward to seeing how your retreats keep growing in Venezuela, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we really enjoyed this time and hope some sunny, shiny days out of the UK come for you.
We'll get at least one, maybe. But thank you.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ciao.